that break, and like I told you, it is a special current affairs program designed just to keep our viewer, to keep Nigerians, and of course Nigerians in the diaspora abreast with the conduct of the 2023 general election. 25th of February remains a landmark date where the presidential and National Assembly election conducted, though generated dust and controversies. We'll be looking at that shortly. The next election, 3 days from now, on Saturday, and that will be the conduct of the governorship and state assembly elections. Like I told you on the program, our focus will be Edo State. There is no governorship election in Edo State, but the stakes are high because of the state assembly election. My name is Ego Sangonao. Still co-anchoring with me is Daniel Press.
Yeah, glad to be here.
And of course, we have two distinguished personalities just joining us for the program. We have Christopher Ojekere and Idris Zekeri. Nice to have you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for having
Now,
us.
we'll start with Christopher Ojekere. A few days ago, we saw you with placard, and some other persons in a protest march to independent television, where you protested against the conduct of the presidential election. But don't you think that the political parties have the free will to seek redress in any law courts in the country?
Yes, the country is not only for the political parties. The country is for all the citizens of Nigeria. And there are legally, constitutionally guaranteed ways in which citizens, or by which citizens can seek redress. One of it is protest. So while the political parties are doing their bit, going to court, the silent majority must also have a voice of people who will go out there to speak for them and give them that window of ventilation. Because if they have that window of ventilation, it will help to douse tension. They'll be able to express themselves legally and lawfully through certain voices. So that was why we thought it was expedient to gather together a national coalition of Edo voters who are concerned and worried and troubled about the direction Nigeria is heading, to come together in one voice, non-partisan, and come and speak against the rape on our democracy, the travesty of electoral procedure and processes that was carried out by INEC, that we had reposed so much confidence in before the 2023 election. Nigerians had waited in bated breath, very concerned about what has been happening in the past 8 years. We have lived in a season of anomie in the past 8 years. People have been brutalized. People have been dehumanized. People have been killed. Blood flows in our streets, whether in the southeast, whether in the northeast, whether in the northwest. Our economy has been battered almost, to irrecoverable, dimensions. Now, all of these have been our problems. And Nigerians thought that rather than go to the street and take up arms and engender a bloody revolution, that they should patiently wait for a revolution through the ballots, where whoever wins, let it be seen that the election was free and fair. Let it be seen that the ballot spoke for the people. But that ballot was truncated, that election was jeopardized, and right now you have court cases, you have protest marches all over the street for an election where there's supposed to be an acclaimed winner. Okay. So Nigerian people are saying they have not seen their mandate reflected in what has been published as election results. So, and I identified it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes. Idris, now, do you align with him?
On so many fronts, I do, and there's really not much to disagree with as to the position he has taken on the issues as it pertains to the last elections. The last elections, to me, was something that we cannot be proud of, and that is putting it very mildly. A lot went on, but I've sat on this program and I told you before that I have a serious problem with when people don't obey their own rules. And that's precisely what INEC did, disobeying their own rules and guidelines as it pertains to electronic transmission of results. I am not saying electronic transmission of results is the magic wand that will end all the problem. But perception, to me, is stronger than reality. And not just to me. Perception is actually stronger than reality. People think somebody is a thief, no matter how good that person is. If the majority think that person is a thief, that person has very little chances of convincing them otherwise. So the perception in INEC today is that they did not do what they had ought to do, is that they had ulterior motives. So no matter how germane their excuse is, it remains an excuse. Their excuse is for not obeying their own rules. It will not be acceptable to Nigerians because they have not followed their processes, and their perception now is that they were compromised, even if they were not. Even if, and that's a big if. Going forward, I think, how do we address these issues? The political parties have gone to court. Some have chosen to protest. For example, the Labour Party I support, we are not protesting. Some, maybe support groups, protest, but the principal instructed that there should not be protests. And we listen. We first of all have a country. And if the country collapses on its own weight, there will be nothing to protest about. People in Somalia are not protesting. People in Yemen are not protesting. People in Libya are not protesting. Those in Iraq, they are not protesting. Even those who are in Syria, they only protest with their guns. We don't want to degenerate to that level. We are 220 million people. There is no country in our immediate environment that can take the population of Edo alone is almost the population of Togo. Lagos has more population than the whole of Ghana. So where are we going to? If things collapse here, where are we going to go to? So first of all, we must protect the ones we have. You see this chicken in our hands, we must hold it. Those who are dragging that elephant, let them continue to hold it. But we are coming for it. So we'll keep their chicken, let them hold the elephant. At the appropriate time, whether through legal means or through recalibration of the political system, we will get it. And when we get it, we will hand it over to the Nigerian people.
Thank you, Idris. Daniel Praise, you know, you talked about some other issues.
Absolutely.
Before the break.
Yeah.
I will be looking at that because the myriads of problems bedeviling Nigeria seem to be there. For instance, the issue of the Naira note shortage, the Supreme Court judgment on the Naira note. Now some Nigerians are rejecting it. Daniel Praise talked about that.
And of course, the silence from CBN governor and the president.
We'll talk about that, but that will be later on the show. But let's quickly ask Christopher Ojekere. Now, let's dovetail to Edo State. The conduct of the State House of Assembly. Why do you think there's this interest in Edo? You want to talk about it. There's intense interest. Even before today, there's intense politicking. And there's no governorship election, it's just state assembly election. But this interest is mind-boggling. Yes.
Well, when you have a conglomeration or a congregation of hyperactive, first-rate intellectuals, you always expect such kind of intense interest, whether in the academia, whether in the political space, or whether in business. Edo State, without any equivocation, is the heartbeat of Nigeria. And Edo State happens to have produced political gladiators who had once been in the national front and are still playing in the home front. The governor of Edo State himself comes very highly recommended. A technocrat who got into politics with, high intellectual connections and all of that, business-wise and all of that. Edo State House of Assembly had passed through a very turbulent period in the last assembly that is passing out right now. Our political trajectory have become tripods in the past few months leading to the election. So you now have the three political parties in Edo State, APC, PDP, and the Labour Party, all of them jostling for position in the House of Assembly. So you would expect intense campaigning, intense interrogation of the issues, intense jostling for position. So that's what you are saying. Now, you cannot run away from the realities that have been on ground. We understand that those who once tasted power, who have had their hands in the cookie jar, find it very difficult to take it off it. Now, if you have people who have been beaten to a corner, who have felt completely annihilated, so to speak, from the political system and space of Edo State, and for certain reasons, they have a reason to find one heartbeat beating, they would want to, in borrowed robes, try to meander their way, sometimes violently, back to where that cookie jar is. And that's why you are finding some people who now think that the stage is set for them to begin to make noise. But what we should not forget is that once a journey has begun, we are into a progression. And in this Edo State, we are progressing, and we are into progression. When people are progressing, they cannot be retrogressing at the same time. Okay. We have reasons why Edo States have come to this point, and we have no reason to go back to begin again to come to this point. We can only move from this point further, and that's what we should be looking at in Edo State. So those who think that conditions have been created for them to use subterranean means, however insidious or overt and covert, to come back to take over the government of Edo State are wasting their time. The trajectory now is forward ever and backward ever.
Okay, now let's
and
come.
That's where we are going.
Let's come. Okay.
No, we'll quickly take a break, and after this break, we will deliberate more on this issue of intense politicking and intense interest in the state assembly election. The program is Nigeria Decides, and my guest, Christopher Jekere, Idris Zekere, they've made their opening remarks. And we are talking about the state assembly election. And Daniel Praise, you were about to make some comments.
Yeah, of course. I wanted to ask Idris Zekere, you have the youth extraction. And to an extent, some of the youth are saying they may not show up in the next election. Do you think that is necessary?
First of all, in reaction to what my very respected elder brother, choosing the words of my principal, has said, I do not like to get involved in the quarrel between APC and PDP. To me, they are one and the same. You know, they share this, they are a Siamese twin. To me, I said to me, I said to me, you know, I told you the last time I'm entitled to my own thinking. To me, they are one and the same. They are a twin. They share the same umbilical cord, not just twins, Siamese twins. So I don't like to get involved in their quarrel. But to answer your question, I think it is foolish for anybody to want not to vote in the next election. The only way to in this, our own democracy, the only way to insist on changing the system is to continue to vote for as long as it takes. There are people who don't even have the privilege of voting. There are people whose voting, at least you are able to change those in your local area.
Exactly.
So the quarrel is how to change the center. So there are those who don't even have those privileges. Even in neighboring countries, Cameroon shares the border with Nigeria. Their president of over 80 years has been there for over 35 years and is still in office. And they are conducting an election. It's just that whereas it's not mathematically possible to unseat the old man. So that said, I think Edo is this intense, and I want the youth to take advantage of this intensity, because most of those running in those offices now that we are talking of are young people. The state assembly, on the average, they have an average age of about 35 years. See young unmarried people, newly married, running in this election. And these people are our friends. They are our contemporaries. Yes. So they are not the old men, the 70-something-year-old who are in Abuja, who are, you know, who see you as meddlesome interlopers when you try to tell them how you want the government run. That is why Edo is specific. But one thing I must mention, so that we don't get it wrong, Governor Godwin Obaseki is not on the ballot. His Excellency Peter Obi is not on the ballot. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not on the ballot. Atiku Abubakar is not on the ballot. Those, we must now look at those on the ballot on a case-by-case basis. I am not a member of Labour Party. As somebody who is obedient and somebody who supported the Labour Party, it is not a unisex decision to vote across board in the line of just one party, because it is not one size fits all. We must begin to look. There are some of those who are importees from the PDP and APC we do not like. We must look at them with some level of suspicion. And there are those who are in those parties that, in fairness to them, have a clear-cut agenda of what is expected. Not those who just want to go there and just want to, people who are passed around, who are just there to take the salary. In this next dispensation, for those who are contesting now, it's easy to quickly resign now and go home. Because in this next dispensation, we will insist on certain standards. I think it will not be fair for people to drag the governor into the election. It's not going to be on the ballot. So dragging him into the election might not be totally correct.
Well, he's canvassing for votes.
Yes, he's canvassing for votes for his party. Maybe because he feels he has programs that he has done up to this point that he wants to complete. And I think some of us have not been too fair to him. And it's not anybody's fault. His government too has not been carrying the people along as to what he does. Just recently, we now began to ask questions, and we are now seeing things that are different from what we had hitherto thought. So I think going forward, they should carry people along. They should enlighten the people on what they're doing. And let me state it here. No 24 persons can sit in a room and attempt to impeach a governor. When I was here campaigning against the governor, the majority chose to vote for the governor. The next time that anybody can talk about governorship is after his own 4 years tenure. So there will be no truncation in the middle. So those who have the mindset that they want to come into the house to impeach a sitting governor, they are wasting their time. Because you have to first of all contest. This has nothing to do whether I like the governor or I don't like him. Why is this important? Today is a PDP governor, and some people want to remove him, for example. I don't want to believe that people are even thinking like that. But let's even agree, for the sake of this debate, that they are planning to remove him. Tomorrow, it might be an APC governor. Tomorrow, it might be a Labour Party governor. And because you have the majority in one house, you want to remove him, it's not going to happen. We will not accept it. Because we don't want it to. It's happening to, it's like something is happening to your neighbor, and you think you are immune from it. Tomorrow it might come to you. So that those who have that thinking want to remove him because we are they are wasting their time. It's not going to happen. However, the government on its part must carry people along and must be more all-inclusive. I think they are making efforts in that direction. We encourage it.
Okay, thank you, Idris. Let's get the thoughts of Ojekere. Now, this election, what should be our expectation?
First of all, I want to say I'm beginning to enjoy the conversation. Because for one moment I have thought that my younger brother had there until he is still demonstrating that we grow up in the same school of thought politically. Okay. Just that sometimes methods differ. Now, expectation should be that you want to get Edo State intact as one, following the trajectory of development, as I had said. Okay. And to get your policies implemented right, you want to have cooperation. Cooperation would mean that you have a House of Assembly where people would cooperate with the governor to ensure that the trajectory he has begun and the development mind that is at place would continue. That is the main reason why progressives are united against retrogressive ideas and attitudes. If your attitude of canvassing or wanting to bring people into the house is to begin to create situations where we are discussing impeachment, rather than discussing what further steps are we now going to take after the Edo Best 2.0, or rather than discussing what is going to happen to the Edo State School of Nursing Services. Are we going to upgrade it to a university now that it has become a world-class school of nursing? What is going to happen to Igworiahi, where they're going to have invested so much on the School of Agriculture? So we want to see people who deepen those conversations, and they should be able to be people who can articulate these ideas. We don't want people who are coming in there and what is being discussed is this one did that last year, so
okay.
we should keep
Are you looking? Are you looking forward?
Yes.
Or looking or expecting a one political party system?
No.
Are you looking forward to that?
Agreement in ideas does not necessarily means homogeneity of a party. You can be of the Labour Party and you are of the APC, for all I know, but you came there to serve your people. You came there to make laws for Edo State. But it is the motive of a man that determines his eventual action. If the motive is ill-conceived from the beginning, they are going to look for people and select people who are going to come to do that agenda. That's what we are against. To be safe, we say, therefore, Edo people vote PDP. Because PDP people are not likely to fight against the governor. They are the parties, they are the governor's party. From the United States down to Doha to everywhere you go in the world.
You just campaign now on our platform.
I'm trying to explain.
No, you are not allowed to campaign on our platform.
I'm sorry about that.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that.
But let me also interject.
Yes.
Now, this program gives opportunity for us to dissect issues. Now, the viewer, they are also watching. And it is believed that both of you are opinion molders. Now, an election has not been conducted. Why the palpable fear of impeachment? What is giving rise to that thought? When an election has not even been conducted, we do not know who will occupy the State House of Assembly. Why all this palpable fear? I want you to address that.
You know there were palpable fears before the general election. This palpable fear, you couldn't stand for it as an institution of the press. But the streets, where we belong, grapevine, where you get some of your information from, which you publish and it eventually becomes true, is rife with this rumor. Clandestine meetings have been held, and those meetings have come out to the open. We cannot pretend you, as a pressman, representing an institution, you have your rules and regulations. But as street men, we have to supply you with data of information. So you have the right to reject it, but you can go and investigate it. And that's why you are finding that kind of tension building up where it shouldn't be. I mean, if you brought some people right here now, and he's of the Labour Party, of the PDP, you would almost ask Daniel to sit in between them. Because by now they will be pointing fingers at each other. And it won't be on issues. If you have issues, you wait for your man to finish and then you express yourself. Those are of issues. So we are not pretenders. As he has said, and admittedly, all of the parties contain men who can change this country. We know that. We don't pretend about that. Look at what they call the House of Assembly elections community-based. Communities must scrutinize those who live with them, who are pushing themselves forward for elections. You must scrutinize them and be sure that they are going there to be representatives of, lawmaking and of the citizens. So the fear is there because of that. And we are saying, let political parties begin to come out now. You see, he said the governor is not on the ballot. This is what the governor is trying to go out about to do. All over the world, democracies in the world, parties in power want the House to be those who can cooperate with their policies. So the government is just going about to say, look, my government may have been elitist because I have not, the lacuna, we admit that, that Obaseki made the mistake of not carrying everyone along, as
I
he said.
absolutely agree.
He made that mistake. I mean, I'm his aide, I said that here. Because much of his approach and attitude to governance is that, it's been done with the people should see. But I can sit down here for 30 minutes reeling out projects and programs Obaseki has successfully achieved, which is not in the public space. So that lacuna was there, and some people took advantage of that. And as he said, you are beginning to see some things going on within the past 2 weeks, and then you are not getting reactions, and people are beginning to say, look, if Obaseki did this, I mean, just take the educational sector, for instance. Obaseki, go to Abudu, which was a teacher training college before it became now a poultry, what do you call it, a college of education, which you even be ashamed to say you are a student in that. But if you go there now, you take pictures of them and show abroad. The same thing is happening in Igoraki, Edo State University. Ekpoma, go and see what the SIT, State Intervention Team, is doing. That school system, governance system, have been set up in Ekpoma. They've just received their salary, about 503 staff. We are the only state that pay 40,000 minimum wage in the whole country. The federal government is paying 30,000 minimum wage. And on the 25th, you are guaranteed of getting your salary. Gratuity from 1984 till now have been paid. These are all in the public space. These are things you can call.
Are there not campaign strategy?
No, I'm saying why the governor is going out, trying to say, look, I don't want to derail this process. Please just give me people that will cooperate with me, so that we can walk this process through to the end.
Okay.
That's why the governor
Thank you, Christopher Jekere. Now, Idris, how do you foster check and balances if what Ojekere is clamoring, that the State House of Assembly should be dominated by members of the governor's political party?
Yes. Well, I am not an aide of the governor, and I am not a member of his political family.
Okay.
But one thing I promised myself in this next election is that I'll be fair to him. And fairness entails that we will speak the truth, and no matter how it will sound in the ears of anybody. I don't think, if recent history is anything to go by, there was a time that the governor had, when the governor was in APC, his entire House of Assembly was 24/24 APC. But it was a very quarrelsome assembly, and up till today, issues from that assembly are still unresolved. What I am now advocating is that whoever is planning to go to the State House of Assembly, from whichever political party, should perish the idea that there is an undemocratic way to change a sitting government. That is not going to be accepted by Edo people. Look, majority of Edo people voted for this government. I was not one of those who support. I say it publicly. If the governor was here, I would tell him, I did not support you. I am one of your worst critics. However, the next time that we will have an opportunity to critique his government by way of voting, whether we should retain his government or his party in office or not, is in 2024, not even this year. So those who have the mindset that they want to come into office and attempt to remove a sitting governor should think again. That is the major plank of my argument. Clearly, there has been I think there have been a lot of, greedy politicians who have isolated the government from the people. I believe now, because in the last few days I've seen the governor started going to market. This is what we have advocated right from time immemorial, that government is about the people. Feedback mechanism is more important than what you do. You must know what you are doing. You must know how it reflects in the life of those you are doing it to. Narratives must be corrected. So if you say, okay, the governor demolished properties, why? How? How is it affecting people? Is there a better way this would have been done? These are the questions that ought to be asked. But when you have lazy politicians around you who don't tell you the truth, they will tell you that you are the best thing that has happened to Nigeria since jollof rice. And then when you run with that idea, before you know, they will turn you against the people. So it's good now that we are having this kind of honest conversation. It's no longer, oh, Governor Rankadede, oh, Governor. Now we are now telling ourselves the truth. Having said that, he remains the governor of all Edo people. PDPO, APCO, those of us in the obedient movement, or Labour Party, reactionary forces, progressive, democratic, even retrogressive forces, even enemies of the state, which is wizards, is the governor of everybody. It is time to carry every constituency along, and I believe he wants to do that.
All right, Christopher Ojekere,
Yes.
INEC told us that the beavers will be deployed again
Yes.
during the state assembly election.
Yes.
Looking at what played out in the presidential election, should Nigerians trust the bimodal voters acquisition system?
You see, there are two things that are at issue here. First, there's the tribunal judgment that those beavers machine could be or should be, investigated by the political parties that are in court. And that requires time frame. Then suddenly, the election of the governorship and House of Assembly is
Just a few days away.
And INEC is saying they want those machines. If I give my mobile phone to you and you take it for a configuration, and I have suspicion that you were the one that withdrew the money on my account, would I not be more suspicious that you're going to tamper with the data in the phone? So how are we going to reconfigure a beavers machine that is the primary evidence of an election in dispute? It's an issue. And I have said that what INEC could do is to exploit the window it has. The swearing-in date that is sacrosanct is May 25. Now, between now and then, your timelines can be extended. After in 2015, when security reports said we couldn't do elections at the appointed date, we postponed it for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. So INEC has that window. So that proper investigation will be, allowed into the disputed election. He said something here that is very critical. He said perception is more important than reality. I don't know if he put it that way, but that was what he's saying. Now, Nigerians are the ones you are serving. And Nigerians are on the streets and in the courts saying we don't believe this process. I should think that INEC should deploy its energy, expertise and professionalism to ensure that they reverse that story. By coming out with, strategies, policies, pronouncements, programs that will convince Nigerians that this process is credible. And one of it is to allow those beavers machines to be thoroughly investigated. All the sensitive material to be thoroughly investigated. There are creative ways. Don't you have supplementary budgets? Now, in any case, the majority, the greater percentage of the result that is in dispute was manually computed. You didn't use beavers. You had the beavers. So what magic are you going to do within days to reconfigure your machine that it will not be working like rocket science? So the point is, this is my opinion, I think that's diversionary to what is on ground. We are interested in the process. We no longer trust the process. And I'm speaking Nigerians' mind. Let our conversation be around how do we ensure that this process is credible, transparent.
Zachary, do you share the same thought with him?
Whatever INEC wants to do, let them do. They are the umpire. But one thing is certain. You can fool some people sometime, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. INEC is very well compensated for the job they are doing. As at the last information I gathered, they had a budget of over 300 billion. That's almost 2 years of Edo's budget. 5 million of us in Edo State are supposed to feed with half of what INEC has used for 1 year. And then you want me to suggest to you how you should solve your problem? No. They should pay consultancy. But we are going to wait for the results. It's the means, it's the end we are waiting for. We are not concerned about the means. If they need to postpone, let them postpone. If they don't need to postpone, let them conduct. We are being polite about this discussion because in Edo we don't have governorship. In other states where there are governors, governor is the president you see. That's the way I say it. Governor is the president I see. President is somewhere in Abuja locked up. You can't even, you will be seen, you can't even see his office in Aso Rock. But the governor's office is here.
Yes.
If not up till recently when there were imaginary barricades, it was almost inaccessible, but now it's accessible. So you can present programs and policy and suggestions to government, and expect that they will take it. And that's where we're going to. So INEC should purge itself. They don't need somebody to recommend. You know what the problem is. You were sitting on the problem. INEC even understand the problem better than us. INEC, as a matter of fact, has not come to tell us that they have a problem.
Okay, thank you, Idris. Like I said, Daniel Praise raised an issue, and we'll just quickly look at that. Do you think that this problem of Naira shortage, this old Naira no recirculation, according to the Supreme Court judgment, we understand that some residents, some traders are rejecting the old Naira note that is being recirculated in compliance with the Supreme Court judgment. Do you see this affecting the credibility, the conduct of this governorship and state house assembly election? Ejekere.
The Naira issue?
Yes.
What's the connection? It shouldn't. The Naira issue is purely an ill thought out economic policy. I think Emefiele likes playing the mystery man.
But
We are never clear.
Your party supported
No,
them.
my party supports good intention. The intention as presented is not the execution as presented. The intention was that we are going to remove money from politics. We gave leverage also to your candidates.
Yes.
That if you remove money from politics, Nigerians will not have the leverage to be able to exercise their franchise without any inducement or form of, vote buying and all of that. But the way it was executed showed that it was ill thought out, because everybody who is making a plan must make plans for contingencies. You must make plans for, other things you didn't think about. But so you kept every Nigerian starved, and the political class, whatever you said you were going to do, it was not achieved. So now I don't see why it should now begin to interfere with our governorship, and we're already used to no money politics. We don't want money to come back to our politics. We don't want cash to return to our politics. Do your politicking as a candidate from your processes, from when you are doing your primaries and so on and so forth. Campaign, meet with people, discuss with them, do whatever you want to do. But when it comes to election period, we don't want cash in the election. So that policy must remain. But the policy must take into cognizance that Nigerians have suffered enough. And it is now time to stop grandstanding. You have not succeeded in replacing the old ones with the new. Go to the banks. People are dehumanized just to get into the banks. It's shameful. You should sit there in Abuja and you are presiding over such embarrassment. And you think you are achieving anything? I should resign if I were Emefiele. To be honest with you, people have died on bank queues. Women, you saw a woman on social media trying to climb over a high bank, fence, iron fence for that matter. So, do you enjoy such things? It simply shows that you failed in your thinking. Now, we have a lot of outlets, which people later suggested. Take the POS, for instance. If you had even taken the POS operators into consideration and had the real discussions with them, there is a certain amount you could be giving to them every day, and you have reached the hand of the public. Now you just created another cartel, and POS were making us dry. 3,000 to 10,000 naira, 3,005 in some places. It goes as far as 4,000. I go to withdraw 10,000. You are taking my 4,000. I'm looking at that.
That's really terrible.
We have to go. So it is a total. I don't want to say it's a failure, because it's an attempt. As a teacher, I will always give you something for trying to write. Yeah. But when you have got to a point when you realize that you have created a crisis, in fact, and people are advising and saying, look, we are born enough to this point, just release some of the old notes so that you can ease movement, you can ease people buying pure water and all of that. So I don't see how it should interfere with the election, because we still don't want vote buying in this election.
Okay, thank you. Idris, what's your thought about that? Do you think there will be voter apathy, not just because of grievances from the presidential election, but some people thought, after the presidential election, this Naira no shortage will stop. But it has persisted, and they are suffering.
Between Governor Godwin Emefiele, I didn't want to say Obaseki. She is Godwin now.
Yeah, Godwin is also Godwin.
So that I will not be accused. Governor Godwin Emefiele and President Muhammadu Buhari, only the two of them, and God.
To be honest.
Governor Emefiele of CBN, President Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria, and God. It's only that three persons that understand what is happening in our financial sector. I think even the experts are confused. Policies are meant to make people's life better, to better the life of people, to increase volume of commerce and trade, investment, and the economy. How come they are insisting on a policy that has caused death, pain, anguish? In front of CBN the other day, a young man was shot dead while there was protest. As I'm talking to you on this TV now, they've blocked the biggest road in Benin. Akpakpava Road is blocked. You can't enter Akpakpava Road from Ring Road. You cannot exit Akpakpava Road into Ring Road because of CBN. Do you know how much is lost there in economic value? That road is shut down now, at least at the junction between Ring Road and after the CBN. How can you shut a key arterial road in the middle of a city like Benin because you do not understand what you are doing, or because of your own confusion in Abuja? When you go to the bank by 7 o'clock now, your number will start from 200 and above. Even if you want to go and complain about money you have transferred that has not arrived at the account of the other person. Yeah. The normal banks, not the online banks, because the online banks are the lifesaver now. The normal banks, their digital ICT infrastructure, I dare to say, has collapsed. Your USSD is not working. And USSD is what the villagers use. When you type small number, when you type number, type account number and send, and then you say yes or no. You can use it even with your Nokia, your small, the one we call touchlight phone. Yes. Those in the village don't have Android that has banking app. That USSD has completely collapsed. My USSD has not worked in the last 2 weeks. Maybe for you to use USSD, you must do all night till around 1 a.m. in the night, when witches and wizards are operating. That is when our banks now operate. Before you can make any transfer on USSD.
How do you know when witches and wizards are
operating? We are in Africa. That is the belief. They say it's the middle of the night when we are. Normally, when normal people are sleeping, it's bad people that will operate now. The normal banking app, sometimes you will transfer. You will think you have done the transfer. The person will say, okay, we are waiting for alert. You will wait and wait and wait. If you have an appointment, we are losing man hours. We are losing economic productivity. In a nutshell, I'm praying to God, because human being now cannot talk to those two gentlemen, the president of Nigeria and the governor of CBN. I am praying to God to touch the heart of these two gentlemen so that they will rethink their policy. Look, we don't want you throwing money. We are not saying throw money. For one, I agree with because it's done everywhere. You don't see cash.
Cashless policy.
With the cashless policy, I agree with the cashless policy on many fronts. You don't see cash. It solves a lot of problems. You notice that lately kidnapping has dropped drastically, because gone are the days where they will kidnap and say, go and bring 100 million. People source it from their backyard. And somebody has not eaten. People have 200 million in their house. People don't even know that if you have 4,999,999 naira, you are already breaking the law. Because once you touch 5 million, anything up to 5 million is money laundering. You are not supposed to keep it in cash. I'm not supposed to pay you for any services you give to me in cash up to the tune of 5 million. You have to send it through a transfer so that there's an electronic footprint. In case it's a case of crime, there is a backtrack. You can track it back. You can track that money up to where it was disbursed, even where they use it to buy food or buy tomatoes in the market. So I agree. However, this kind of I don't know. I'm trying to be very civil in my language. This kind of look, this kind of agreement to suffer, to punish Nigerians is something that I don't understand. And I think it's something that all Nigerians should begin to speak about. It's not the election. This election is settled. gone are the days nobody even buys votes these days again. In fact, if you want to buy votes, you may have to go to the interiors, and they don't have the population, they don't have the numbers to influence elections. In the city, people buy their tickets from the US, from the UK, from Canada to come and vote. People buy. I came from Lagos to vote in Edo. So how much will you now use to buy my vote? Unless a vote is now selling for 200,000 and above, which I think it has not gotten up to that extent.
Christopher Ojekere,
yeah.
Should there be more hands in the security architecture when it comes to next on Saturday's election?
There are many polling units created by INEC that have no single security personnel. In fact, when I got there, I asked the people, they say, you can see we are taking care of ourselves. But frankly speaking, when I saw their conduct, I advised them not to ask for any security personnel because they were doing far better than where I saw security personnel. So there should certainly be. Now, because you just want that presence. It's a psychological check that there is a security personnel here and you could be arrested if you do anything wrong, because this election, being governorship, is more local than national. And when it's more local, it's more emotional. People are more attached to it. You know, as Idris said, they are the president that they see. And many things are linked to that statement. So you expect those who have connections to the State House, they want to protect the sitting governor, those who want to bring him in. So there's more emotions and it's more volatile. Therefore, you need more attention security-wise, so that you can keep the people in check. And then plus that, the local government, the House of Assembly election, which is even closer again to the people. So we certainly need more personnel, well-trained ones, to be taught what to do there and let them do it.
Okay. It is Nigeria Decides. Time is not always our friend on the program. We will be concluding our discussion shortly. But let me just reiterate that 3 days to go, 3 days to the conduct of the governorship, where there will be governorship elections and state assembly elections. In Edo State, there will be state assembly election. But there are some states where there will be governorship election. And we'll continue to keep tab on the politicking in such states where there will be governorship and otherwise, and of course in Edo State. So, your closing remarks, Idris Zekere.
I want to again reiterate that those whose primary purpose of contesting election is to carry out a sinister plot of impeachment should have a rethink. It will not happen. I'm not being polite about it. It's not going to happen. We all agreed that when a majority votes a person into office, the person should do a tenure of 4 years. Until that tenure is complete, we cannot debate that issue. That issue is foreclosed. Having said that, I want to beg the youth. Please don't say because of what has happened in the last election where we believe that our mandate was stolen, you will not come out to vote. Come out and vote in the next state assembly election. That's where we are going to build the structures. And when you are voting, look at the candidate on a case-by-case basis. It is not a unisex arrangement where one side fits all or when one side fits both sexes. No. Look at it on a case-by-case basis and only send those who you know have the best interest at heart. That you and I are brothers does not mean you'll be good to me. That we're in the same political party does not mean you'll be good to me. Send those who will be good to us, who will be good to the people of Edo State first, and who will support whatever is being done that is good for the benefit of Edo people.
Thank you.
And those who will also refuse what is done that is not good.
Thank you, Idris. Your closing remarks, Christopher.
I want to thank Governor Obaseki for coming out and going round to show humility to Edo people. It is my plea to Edo people to cooperate with him. So send people that will cooperate with Governor Obaseki so that he will finish his tenure peacefully and strong. That is my message to Edo people this morning. Thank you, people.
Thank you very much. Daniel Praise, what's your advice?
Well, I've always said the power is in your hands. You have your PVC. Don't be discouraged. Come out this Saturday and exercise your franchise.
Okay, so like we have all agreed that the voters are king makers. Every voter has the power to elect a governor, to elect members of the State House of Assembly. So, you are highly placed. Do not play with it. On Saturday, be a part of the electoral system. Come out en masse, cast your votes, and be proud that you did. So on that note, I want to thank our guests for your contributions. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And our viewer out there, thanks for being a part of the program, Wednesday's edition of Nigeria Decides. Daniel Praise.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a nice day.
Do have a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. Bye-bye.